Hello everyone, how you doing? This is part 13 of the inventory tutorial series that I'm doing in this channel, and in this part we're going to create the drop functionality. So as you can see, now we can collect all the items. So let me collect some here to show you. And if I open the inventory, as you can see, if I hover the mouse in an item, as you can see, we have the name of the item, so shield, apple and banana, and here we have some helper text to help us drop the items. So basically, if I press just once the Q key in a slot, we can drop just one item, as you can see. But if I hold the key for 1 second, we drop the whole stack. So let me just drop the apples here. As you can see, if I hold for 1 second, we drop it all the apples. So there you go. This system is working, so we can drop the items now. And this is what we will do in this video. But before, if you do like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe so you don't lose any new content. And without further ado, let's start. Okay, so first we need to create a function to decrement the amount of a slot. So for that, let's open the inventory component. So let's go here to components folder and let's open the BBC inventory component. So here we need to create a new function. So for that, let's click on this plus icon here, and we'll name this function decrement slot amount, something like this. And this function will need two inputs. One to be the slot index that we want, and another one for the amount to decrement. So let's click on this function here, and here in inputs, let's add a new one. I will name this slot index, and let's change the type here to integer, and let's add a new one for the amount to decrement. So amount to decrement, something like this. And of course, this needs to be an integer as well. So first, I need to get the slot that we want to decrement. So for that, let's get a reference to the content array here. So just hold Ctrl on the keyboard and drag this variable to get this get node here. And from this array, we can drag and type get a copy like this. We just need to connect the slot index here in this second pin. So now we have the informations here. We just need to right click in this pin and click on split struct pin like this. And we have the informations about this slot. So here is the amount that we want. So now we need to subtract this amount to decrement value from this amount here. So let's drag the amount here in this slot and let's type minus so we can get a subtract node. And in the second pin, let's connect the amount to decrement like this. So here in this pin is the result of this. So it is the new value of this slot. So now I need to know if this value is less or equal than 0. So let's drag from this pin and type less equal so we can get the less equal node here. And in the second pin is 0, so let's just leave as it is. And because this is a boolean, of course, let's connect this in a branch like this. So now we just need to connect the execution pin. There we go. So here we have the true and the false. So basically, if this is true, that means that we dropped all the items from this slot. So we need to make this slot empty again. But if this is false, that means that we didn't drop all the items. So we still have items in this slot. We just need to decrement the amount. So that's why we have this branch here. So first, let's take care of this false case here. So basically, we need to set this slot with the new values, of course. So for that, let's again get a reference for this content variable here. Let's get this reference, and from this, let's type set array element like this. Let's connect the false case here in this execution pin. Let me just drag this close like this. So first we need to connect the index that we want to change, and of course the index is this slot index here. So because we are inside a function, we can get the input without having to connect any wires here. We just need to right click and type slot index. So we have the variable here, get slot index. There we go. Let's just connect this here. And now we need to connect a new item for this index. So here in this item. So let's drag from this reference here. And let's click on make struct inventory slot like this. So now we just need to connect the values that we want. So of course, because the amount here is not less or equal than 0, that means that we still have items in this slot. We just need to change the amount. So for the item ID is this one, the item ID that we have inside the slot. So let's drag this here. The occupied, of course, is the same one, and the actor class is the same one. But for the amount, we need to connect this here. So the results that we are subtracting the amount to decrement from the amount here. So we need to connect this value here like this. And there we go. This is basically it for this false case. Now let's do the true case. So basically, if this is true, that means that the slot is empty. We dropped all the items that we have in this slot. So we need to make this slot empty. So for that, again, let's get a reference to this content array like this. Let's drag from this and type set array element like this. Let's connect the true here, so the true case in this execution pin. We need the slot index again, so right click and type slot index to get this variable. And we need to connect the item, so let's drag from this and click on the make struct inventory slot like this. And because this slot is empty, we can leave as it is. So the item ID is none, amount 0, occupied is false, and actor class is null again. So this is basically it. So now we just need to update the slots in the widget. Of course, we need to update this so the player can have a feedback of us dropping the items. So for that, as you may remember, we created a function inside the HUD class that we can update the player's inventory slot. So here we need to get this HUD, and to get this HUD we need to get the player controller. So first right click and type get player controller. So let's get this one, get player controller. From this we can type get HUD like this, and because we have a HUD interface, from this we can directly call the update player main slot from the BPI HUD, as you can see. So let's call this, and from both cases here, from the true and the false, we need to update the slots, of course. So let's connect the execution pin from this and from this, as you can see. And this is basically it. Now this function can decrement the amount of a slot. Let's compile and save and continue creating this drop system. Okay, so now we need to create a function to spawn the dropped items in the world. But first, let me just put this decrement slot amount in the helper category. So just click on the function, and here in the category, just change to helper like this. So now let's create this new function. But to create this function, first I need to get the drop position. And I will put the drop position in the player character blueprint. So let's go back to the folders. Let's go to blueprints, bases, main characters, and we have the BP main character here. Let's open this. Let's go to the viewport like this, and here I will put the drop position. So for that, let's just select this BP main character here and click on add here in components. Let's add an arrow like this. Let's add an arrow, and I need this arrow to be the drop position. So let's change the name here to drop position like this, and basically this is the position that we will spawn all the items that we drop. So I will basically put this here, maybe here, and a little bit in the front of the character like this. So I just need this position here so we can drop the items from this position. So there we go. Let's compile and save. And of course, now I need a way to get this position from outside the player. And for that, we have the player interface. So we need to create a new function in the player interface to get this drop position. So let's go back to the folders. Let's go to Blueprints, Interfaces, and let's open the BPI player interface. And here, as I said before, we need to create a function to get the drop position. So for that, let's click on Add here, Function, and I will name this function Get Drop Position, something like this. And of course, this needs an output, so let's add an output here. And this output will be the position that we need to drop the item. So let's change the name here to Drop Position. And of course, this needs to be a vector, so just change the type here to vector like this. Let's compile and save, and let's go back to the BP main characters because now we need to implement this function. So let's expand this interfaces category here, and here we have the get drop position. Let's double click on this so we can implement, and there we go. Here we have the function, and this will be really simple. We just need to get the position of this drop position arrow here. So let's get a reference to this drop position, just drag into the graph like this, and now we just need to get the word position of this. So just drag and type get word location like this. So let's get this transformation here, get word location. And now we just need to connect this in the output of this function. And there we go. This is basically it. Let's compile and save. And now we can use this new interface function inside the inventory component. So let's create now the function to spawn the items in the world. Okay, so to create this function, let's go back to the BBC inventory, and first we need to create a variable to hold the item that we need to spawn. So here in the variables, let's add a new one, and I will name this variable item to spawn like this. And we need to change the type here to actor, so just search for actor here and pick actor class reference, so just choose class reference here. Let me compile and save, and I will put this variable in a helper category. So just select the variable, go to category here, and just change the category to helper like this. Let me compile and save, and now let's create the function to drop, to spawn the items in the world. So here in the functions, let's add a new one, and I will name this function spawn dropped items. So let's name it like this. And first I need to know if we have an item to spawn. So let's get a reference to this item to spawn here. Let's get a reference holding Ctrl on the keyboard and dragging the variable like this. And let's convert this to a validated get. So just right click on this variable and click on convert to validated get like this. Let's connect the execution pin. And here, if this is valid, that means that we have a valid reference. That means that we have items to spawn. So first I need to get the spawn position. And as you may remember, we are inside the inventory component. And because this is a component, we can get the owner of this component. And as you can see, if I go to the BP main character, we have the inventory is inside this character. That means that this character is the owner of this inventory in this case. So let's go back to the inventory here. Let's right click and just type get owner. And there we go. So basically we are getting this character here. And because we are using interface, we don't need to use any casting here. We can directly call the get drop position function. So let's drag from this return value and type get drop position. And this one from the BPI player. So let's just click on this node. Let's connect from the isValid here. And as you can see, we have the drop position here. Now we just need to spawn these items. For that, let's right click and type spawn actor from class. We need to get this node here, spawn actor from class. Let's click on this one. Let's connect the execution pin here, and as you can see, we need to pass a class, and is this one here, the item to spawn. So let's just drag here and connect on this class. Let me just add a reroute here like this. And now we need to connect a position that we want to drop this. And this position is inside this transform here, this spawn transform. So just right click on this and click on split struct pin so we can connect separately the location, rotation, and scale. But for this, we just need to connect the location, which is this drop position here. So let's just connect this vector here. And there we go. Everything else we can leave as default. And this is basically the function. So now every time that we call this function, we will drop all the items that we need to drop if we have items to drop, of course. So let's compile and save. And now we just need to create one more function before we created the main function to drop the items. So let's do this. Okay, so let me try to explain this next function that we're going to create. So basically in this system, we will be able to drop more than one item at once. And for that, of course, I will use a for loop. But if I drop all the items at the same location at the same time, because of the collisions, the items will just explode to everywhere. So basically, I will add a delay each time that we drop an item, so the items can fall to the ground and we don't have this problem. So for that, I will use a delay, but we cannot put a delay on the for loop because the standard macro for loop that comes with Unreal, in this for loop we cannot put a delay. In the loop body, for example, we cannot put a delay. The delay will not work. So that's why I will create our own for loop function with the delay. So basically we will create a macro function for a for loop with the delay, and that's the next function that we're going to create. So let's do this. Okay, so to do this, let's go back to the folders, and here let's open blueprints, and I will create a new folder here. So right click, go to new folder. I will name this folder macros libraries, something like this. Let's open this folder and let's create the macro library. So right click, go to blueprint and blueprint macro library. And here just select actor component. So I will name this BPML for blueprint macro library. My macros. Of course, you can name this whatever you want. So let's open this and starting implementing the function. So first, let's change the name here. I will name this for loop delay because we will put a delay on this for loop. So for loop delay. And first, we need to add some inputs and outputs to this macro. So because this is a macro, we can actually add an execution pin as an input or output. So let's add one input with the type of execution pin. So let's add here. The name I will put in like this. And the type, let's select execution pin, this one, like this. Let's add another input. And this will be for the first index. So let's just name this first index. And the type of this will be integer, like this. Let's add another one for the last index of the loop. So last index. And of course, the type is integer as well. And let's add another one for the delay. So let's name this delay. And the type of this will be float, like this. So now let's add some outputs. So let's add one. And this first one will be the loop body. So let's change the name to loop body like this. And let's change the type to execution pin. Let's add another output. This will be the index of the loop. So the current index. Let's change the type to integer. And a final output for the completed. So let's change the name here to completed like this. And the type, of course, is execution pin like this. So there we go. Now we have the inputs and outputs that we need. Let's just implement the function now. Okay, so first we need to assign the first index as a variable. So we need to create a variable. For that, right click and type assign. So we have this node here, assign in the utilities macro category. Let's click on this and let's connect from the in execution pin here, like this. For the value is this first index input here. So let's just drag and connect on the value here. And for the variable, let's use a local integer. So right click and type local integer, and you have this node here, the local integer in the macro category. So click on this and basically we have the variable here. Just connect this on the variable input in the assign node like this. So now basically this value here is inside this variable. So now we need to check if this value is less or equal than the last index. And of course, each time we will increase this value by 1. So first let's do the check. So drag from this variable here and type less equal. So we have this operator here like this, and just connect the last index in the second pin like this. Of course, this is a boolean, so let's connect in a branch like this. Let's connect the execution pin and we have the true or false case here. Basically, if this is true, that means that this value is less or equal than the last index, so we need to do the loop body, right? But if this is false, that means that we reach the end of the loop, so we need to do the completed part of the loop, right? So we need to finish the loop. So to do this, let's first add a sequence. So right click and type sequence, and we have this node here, sequence, in the flow control suite category. Let's click on this and let's connect from the true case here in this sequence. So first, of course, if this is less or equal than the last index, that means that we need to do one more time the loop body. So first in this them0, let's connect on the loop body like this. And now we need to increase this variable here, of course. So for that, let's drag from this them1 here, somewhere down here, and let's type assign again this one in the utilities macro category. Let's get this. The variable is this same one, so let's just connect here in the variable, and for the value is this value here plus 1. So each time we will increase this number by 1. So just drag from this and type plus, so you have the add operator like this, and just put 1 in the second pin and connect here in the value like this. So now we need to add the delay. So every time that we do this, we'll basically do the loop, right? Then we will increase this variable by 1 and we will wait for some delay to do this again. So basically do this check again. So after this assign, let's add the delay. So just type delay here. You have the delay node in the flow control suite category, so just click on this, and for the duration is the delay input here. So let me just put this a little bit closer like this, and let's drag from this and connect in the delay. Let me just add some reroutes here to be more organized. Like this is okay. Okay, so after this delay, we need to do this check again. So basically see if this value is less or equal than the last index. So from this completed here in the delay, let's just connect in the branch again, like this. So we will basically do a loop here. And when this variable is not less or equal than the last index, this branch will be false. That means that we end the loop. So we need to do the completed. So now we just need to connect from this false here in the completed execution pin. So let's just drag this and connect in the completed here. Let me just add some reroutes like this. There we go. And of course, for the index is this value here. So we need to drag from this local integer and connect in the index like this. Let me just add again some reroutes here. So maybe like this. And there we go. This is basically the for loop that comes with Unreal, but we added a delay in the end here so we can wait to do the loop body again. So this is basically it for this function. Now we need just to use this macro inside the inventory component. So let's do this. Okay, so now we can create the event to drop the items inside the inventory component. So let's go back to the BPC inventory. Let me just close these functions here like this, and we will basically create this as an event on the event graph because we will use some nodes that may not finish in the same frame. So basically takes some time, and of course we need to do this in the top level of the component, so in the event graph. Okay, so first let's create a custom event here. So just right click and type custom event. So add custom event, click on this, and for the name I will put drop items, something like this. So this event will need 2 inputs. So let's add one here. Just click on this event and click on this plus in the inputs like this. And this first one will be the slot index. So basically the slot that we want to drop the items, right? And this needs to be an integer. So just change the type to integer. Let's add another one for the amount to drop. So basically the amount that we want to drop from this slot. And of course, this needs to be an integer as well. Okay, so as you may remember, we created this item to spawn variable here. So first we need to set this variable with the correct actor class to spawn in the world. So we need to get this actor class that is inside the slot. So first we need to get the slot, right? So let's get the content variable here. You can do this by holding Ctrl on the keyboard and dragging the variable so you get a get node like this. And from this content we need to get the slot. So just drag from the array and type get a copy like this. And for the index, of course, is this slot index here. So let's drag from this. And now let's just split this struct. So just right click on this split here, on this pin actually, and click on split struct pin. And as you can see, we have the informations about the slot. And we have the actor class that we need. So now we need to load this into memory because, as you may remember, this is a soft class reference. That means that this is not loaded into memory. So now we need to load this because we're gonna use, right? So drag from the actor class here and type async load class asset, this one. So just click on this and connect the execution pin like this. And as you can see, we have a clock here. That means that this node may not finish in the same frame that this event has been called, right? So that's why we need to do this in the top level of this component. Okay, so basically when these loads finish, we need to set the variable here. So from the completed here, we need to set this, but first we need to set this as an actor class. And this is basically an object class, as you can see. So we need to convert this. And to convert, we can use a cast. So from this class here, just drag and type cast to actor class. Like this. Let's click on this and let's disconnect this execution pin here. You can do this by holding Alt and clicking on the execution pin, as you can see, because we need to connect from the completed execution pin. Of course, we need to do this after this loads finished, right? And this cast here will not take any memory because we are just casting to the blueprint of actor is not something specific. So this doesn't take any memory, right? So now we have this object class here as an actor, as you can see. So now we can set this variable. So just hold Alt on the keyboard and drag the variable to create a set node, as you can see. And let's connect from this first execution pin here, like this. And of course the value is this as actor here. So basically we are reading this value as an actor. So let's just connect this here and there you go. So basically inside this variable we have the actor that we need to spawn in the world, right? So now we need to decrement the amount of this slot, right? And we created a helper function for that. So if I expand the helper category in the functions here, as you can see, we have the decrement slot amount function that we created. So let's just drag this function here and let's call after setting the item to spawn. So let's just connect the execution pin here. The slot index, of course, is this one. So let's just drag from the input here and connect in the slot index. Let me just add a reroute here, like this. And of course, the amount to decrement is this amount to drop here. So let's just drag this here. Let me add the execution pins. And by the way, you can add this execution pin, not actually the reroute. You can add this by double clicking on the line like this. Okay, so now this function will decrement the amount of this slot, right? Okay, so now we need to spawn all these items in the world. All the items that we dropped, we need to spawn in the world. So for that, we need to use the macro function that we created, this for loop with a delay. So to use this, let's go back here to the event, just right click and type the name. So for loop delay. And as you can see, we have our own macro for loop delay here. Let's click on this and let's connect the execution pin in the in here. The first index I will put at 1, so let's just put 1 here. The last index, of course, is the amount to drop, so let me just drag from this reroute here. Let's just connect here, and I will add another one like this, so it's a little bit organized like this. And for the delay, I will put 0.2. Of course, you can play around with this value, but for me, is this one. And after this delay here, we will do the loop body. So basically, we will do once, then we will wait 0.2 seconds and do again this from the first index until we reach the last index, right? So each time that we do this in the loop body, of course, we need to spawn the items in the world. And as you may remember, we created a function for this, is this spawn dropped items here. Let's just drag this. And we just need to connect the loop body here in the execution pin like this. And there we go. This is basically it. This is the event to drop all the items that we need. So let me just select all these nodes here and comment drop items, something like this. Now we just need to call this function whenever we want to drop the items. So let's just compile and save. And now we need to create some functions inside the slot widget, right? So let's do this.